Have you ever wondered why football looks the way it does today? Why do teams line up in specific formations, press high up the pitch, or play out from the back? It wasn't always like this. The beautiful game has gone through a massive tactical evolution, a fascinating story of innovation, adaptation, and straight-up genius. Today, we're going on a journey through time to explore how football tactics have evolved, from the chaotic kick and rush of the 19th century to the sophisticated systems we see in the modern game. Let's rewind to the very beginning, the mid-1800s in England. When the first official rules were being written, football was a brute force affair. The most common formation, if you can even call it that, was a 1-1-8. Yes, you heard that right. One defender, one midfielder, and 8 forwards. The strategy was simple. Get the ball and run towards the goal as a pack. It was all about individual dribbling skill, with players basically forming a human battering ram. Passing was barely a concept. This was the era of kick and rush, a chaotic but exciting spectacle where the strongest and fastest often came out on top. It was less about strategy and more about sheer will. But things started to change, and the first big shift came from, surprisingly, Scotland. In the 1870s, the Scots, often physically smaller than their English counterparts, developed what became known as the passing game. Instead of just dribbling, they started to pass the ball between each other. This led to the creation of the 2-2-6 formation, the famous pyramid. This was revolutionary. For the first time, there was a defined structure with designated defenders, midfielders, and forwards. The 2 fullbacks provided a defensive base, the 2 halfbacks linked play, and the 6 forwards, including a center forward and inside forwards, worked together to create chances. This pyramid formation dominated football for nearly 50 years, spreading across the globe and becoming the standard for tactical thinking. Then came the 1920s and a crucial rule change that shook everything up. In 1925, the offside rule was amended. Before this, a player was offside unless 3 opponents were between them and the goal line. The new rule reduced this to 2 players, usually the goalkeeper and 1 defender. Suddenly, attackers had a massive advantage. The old pyramid with its 2 defenders was now incredibly vulnerable to long balls over the top. Goals started flying in, and defenses were in chaos. This is where one of the greatest tactical minds in history enters the story. Herbert Chapman, the legendary manager of Arsenal. Chapman saw the problem and engineered the solution. He created the WM formation, a 3-2-2-3. He pulled the center half from the midfield back into the defense, creating a back 3 to counter the opposing center forward. The 2 fullbacks now marked the wingers. In midfield, he had 2 inside forwards drop deeper to become attacking midfielders, linking up with the 2 wingers and a lone striker. This created a perfect balance between a solid defense and a potent attack. The shape on a tactics board looked like a W at the front and an M at the back, hence the name. Chapman's WM system was so effective that it led Arsenal to dominate English football in the 1930s, and soon, everyone was copying it. The WM became the new global standard for the next 2 decades. As we move into the post-war era, the tactical pendulum began to swing again. The rigid WM system was becoming predictable. The next great innovation came from Hungary in the 1950s, with their legendary Magical Magyars team. Their coach, Gustav Sebes, developed a fluid system that was a precursor to total football. Nominally, they played a 4-2-4, but the key was the movement. Their center forward, Nander Haidekudi, would drop deep into midfield, completely confusing the defenders who were used to man-marking a static striker. This created huge gaps for other attackers like the great Ferenc Puskás to exploit. This flexible, role-swapping style of play was breathtaking. Their 6-3 demolition of England at Wembley in 1953 is still considered one of the most significant tactical masterclasses in history. It shattered the English sense of footballing superiority and proved that rigid formations were a thing of the past. The Hungarian success directly inspired the Brazilians, who took the 4-2-4 formation and perfected it, winning the World Cup in 1958. With players like Pelé and Garrincha, they combined tactical discipline with incredible individual flair. The 4-man defense provided solidity. The 2 central midfielders controlled the tempo, and the 4 forwards, including 2 wingers, provided devastating attacking power. But as teams adapted, the 4-2-4 proved to be a bit light in the midfield. Brazil themselves evolved it into a 4-3-3 for the 1962 World Cup, pulling one of the forwards back to strengthen the center of the park. The 4-3-3 offered a better balance and would become a staple for decades to come. While South America was innovating with flair, Europe was developing a more pragmatic, defensive approach. In Italy, catenaccio, which means door bolt in Italian, became the dominant philosophy. Popularized by Inter Milan manager Helenio Herrera in the 1960s, catenaccio was all about rock-solid defense. The system typically used a sweeper, or libero, playing behind the main defensive line, whose job was to clean up any mistakes and snuff out danger. The focus was on staying organized, absorbing pressure, and then hitting teams on the counterattack with quick, direct passes. It wasn't always pretty to watch, but it was incredibly effective, leading Italian clubs and the national team to great success. Catenaccio emphasized that a clean sheet was the foundation of victory. But for every defensive action, there is an equal and opposite attacking reaction. And that reaction came in the form of total football. Perfected by the Dutch club Ajax and the Netherlands national team in the 1970s, under the guidance of coach Rinus Michels and on-field General Johan Cruyff, total football was a tactical utopia. The philosophy was simple. Any outfield player could take over the role of any other player in the team. A defender could storm forward to attack, and a forward would drop back to cover them. It required players who were technically brilliant, intelligent, and incredibly fit. The formation was a fluid 4-3-3, but positions were almost meaningless. They pressed opponents relentlessly, hunting for the ball in packs, and when they had it, they created a dizzying spectacle of movement and passing. Total football changed our understanding of space and positions forever. The legacy of total football is immense. One of Johan Cruyff's disciples, a certain Pep Guardiola, would later take these principles and evolve them even further. But before we get to Pep, we need to talk about Arrigo Sacchi's AC Milan in the late 1980s and early 90s. Sacchi built one of the greatest club sides of all time without a traditional libero. He used a flat back four that played a high defensive line, compressing the pitch and catching attackers in a ruthlessly efficient offside trap. His team was a compact, cohesive unit that pressed opponents all over the pitch. Sacchi drilled his players relentlessly on positioning and collective movement, famously saying he wanted a team where all 11 players moved as one. His Milan side dominated Europe and laid the groundwork for the modern pressing game. And that brings us to the modern era, a melting pot of all these historical ideas. Today's top coaches are tactical chameleons. We have the gegenpressing or counter-pressing, popularized by German coaches like Jurgen Klopp. The idea is to win the ball back immediately after losing it, turning defense into an attacking opportunity while the opponent is disorganized. It's an aggressive, high-energy style that has brought huge success to clubs like Liverpool and Borussia Dortmund. Then there's the evolution of Cruyff's ideas through Pep Guardiola. His tiki-taka philosophy, first at Barcelona and later at Bayern Munich and Manchester City, is all about dominating possession. But it's not possession for possession's sake. It's about using short, intricate passing to move the opposition, create space, and eventually find the killer final ball. His teams are built on positional play, where players occupy specific zones on the pitch to create passing lanes and numerical superiority. Guardiola has even reinvented positions, using inverted fullbacks who drift into midfield and goalkeepers who act as playmakers. In recent years, we've seen even more flexibility. Formations are becoming increasingly fluid. A team might defend in a 4-4-2, but attack in a 3-2-5. Three-at-the-back systems, once considered defensive, are now used as an attacking weapon, allowing wingbacks to push high up the pitch. Managers like Thomas Tuchel and Julian Nagelsmann are known for their incredible tactical flexibility, often changing systems multiple times within a single game to exploit an opponent's weakness. So from the 1-1-8 chaos to the pyramid, the WM, the 4-2-4, catenaccio, total football, and the modern pressing and positional play, the tactical evolution of football is a never-ending story. Each new idea is a reaction to what came before, a constant chess match played out on a grass pitch. It's a journey of genius managers and legendary players who dared to think differently, forever changing the way we play and watch the beautiful game. What do you think will be the next big tactical innovation? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this deep dive into football history, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more content like this. See you next time.